All right, so our task here is to find the exact value for the tangent of pi over 12. So first thing I'm going to do is I want to take tangent, and I want to think about how I can express a pi over 12 either as a sum or a difference, either two things added together or two things, one subtracted from the other. And I want the things that I'm using to be on the unit circle. So, thoughts of what we could use? All right, 3 minus 2 is 1, yes? So does it work to say 3 pi over 12, subtract 2 pi over 12? Yes. There are other possibilities. You could use other ones and still get the same answer. Like you could have done 9 pi over 12 minus 8 pi over 12, or 10 pi over 12 minus 9 pi over 12. I tend to pick the lowest ones that will work, but just so you know, the others will work. So what's our next step? Simplify. Let's simplify these fractions. So it's going to be the tangent of pi over 4 minus pi over 6. All right, at this step, what do we do next? Find that identity. So you want to look for an identity that has tangent with subtraction. Find it and put your finger on it. You should be on this one on the right-hand column because we need to subtract, right? So I'm just going to plug in alpha and beta. Everywhere I see an alpha, that's where pi over 4 goes. Everywhere I see a beta, that's where pi over 6 goes. So tangent pi over 4 minus tangent pi over 6 divided by 1 plus tangent pi over 4 times tangent pi over 6. All right, what do we do at this step? This step, we go to our unit circle. All right, if you're somebody watching at home, we added some things on our unit circle. So we wrote down that the tangent of pi over 4 is 1. We went ahead and wrote that on our unit circle because we're going to be using tangent a lot. And we wrote down that the tangent of pi over 6 is square root of 3 over 3. So you can add that to your unit circle. And so now we're just going to plug that in. All right, so now at this step we have to do some math, and the tangent one is longer because we have these square roots and inside fractions, and we're going to have to simplify. So we remember with all the work we've been doing that when we're adding and subtracting fractions, we need a common denominator. First, I want to remind you, can you just come in here and cross out these ones? Absolutely not, because they're not factors. They're not doing multiplication. They're doing subtraction and addition, so you cannot cross them out. So we're going to need to get a common denominator. So I'm going to write 1 as 3 over 3 minus the square root of 3 over 3. I'm going to write this one as 3 over 3 plus, and I have the square root of 3 over 3. Common denominator. So then my numerator is 3 minus square root of 3 over 3 divided by 3 plus the square root of 3 over 3. And now I'm going to use the fact that division means to multiply by the reciprocal. So that's going to be 3 minus the square root of 3 over 3 times the reciprocal of that denominator, 3 over 3 plus the square root of 3. Now, at this point, I am doing multiplication. So now these 3's can each divide and equal 1. And I have 3 minus the square root of 3 over 3 plus the square root of 3. And in some instances, it may be fine to leave that answer there. We are going to want to have the most simplified answer, which means rationalizing that denominator. And in order to do that, I'm going to need to multiply by the conjugate over the conjugate. The conjugate of 3 plus the square root of 3 is 3 minus the square root of 3. Now I'm multiplying these together. I'm going to come put everything in parentheses. It makes me see what I'm doing better when I distribute. So I'm going to use the distributive property on the numerator and the denominator. So 3 times 3 is 9. And then I have minus 3 square roots of 3, and minus 3 square roots of 3 gives me minus 6 square roots of 3. And when I multiply negative square root of 3 times negative square root of 3, I get positive 3. Then I'm going to distribute on the denominator. 3 times 3 gives 9. My middle terms are going to be opposites of each other, and they're going to add up to 0. And then my last times last is going to be positive square root of 3 times negative square root of 3. So that's going to be minus 3. Now in my numerator, I'm going to add the 9 and the 3 together, which will give me 12 minus 6 square roots of 3. And my denominator is 9 minus 3, which is 6. And then I divide each term by 6. So 12 divided by 6 is 2, and 6 divided by 6 is 1. So I come out with 2 minus the square root of 3. And again, I can check this on the calculator. So I can do tangent of pi divided by 12. Enter. And then I can do 2 minus the square root of 3. Enter. And I can verify to myself that those answers do match. Okay, tangent was super long. Let's look at one with degrees, which is going to be so much easier after that one. I'm going to do the sine of 15 degrees. Now there's no need to be changing anything into radians. We can work in degrees. So step 1 is to think. What can we put in the parentheses that will either add or subtract to 15 that is on our unit circle? All right, 45 minus 30. Why wouldn't I just do 5 plus 10? Isn't 5 plus 10 15? It's not on the unit circle, okay? You're only putting numbers in there that are on the unit circle. Okay, there's no fractions, so there's no need to simplify. So now we just go straight to our identity. And you look for the one that has sign and is doing subtraction. And 45 degrees is your alpha, and 30 degrees is your beta. And so you fill in sine 45 degrees cosine 30 degrees minus cosine 45 degrees sine 30 degrees. And I'm just reading that off of my yellow identity sheet. Now I go to my unit circle. And I'm finding the value of each part here. So what is the sine of 45 degrees? Everybody should know that by heart. Square root of 2 over 2. What's the cosine at 30 degrees? Square root of 3 over 2. Cosine of 45 degrees? Square root of 2 over 2. And sine of 30 degrees? 1/2. Now you just do a little math. You got square root of 6 over 4 minus square root of 2 over 4. So you got the square root of 6 minus the square root of 2 all over 4. Now if you go to check that on your calculator, what mode do you have to be in? Degree mode.